down. I don't say type it, the act of writing helps. So this number, and we're all going to say it with me because it's really dumb, but trust me, it helps retention, £165,750. What's that number?
£165,750.
What is it again?
£165,750.
The reason I say write it down and look at it, the reason I say it out loud, the reason I say actually write it is a number of you may have heard of a technique called neurolinguistic programming. Neurolinguistic programming breaks up the senses we have into three main groups. A group it calls V for visual, A for auditory, and K for kinesthetic. Visual is obviously about what you see, audio is what you hear, kinesthetic is pretty much all the other senses lumped together. And in neuroscience terms, roughly 70% of the connections into your brain are from your visual cortex, your eyes, roughly 25% are from your audio cortex, your ears, and the other 5% of your other senses put together. Does anyone know how many senses we have in total?
5, 6.
Let me just do a complete aside and ask you to use a sense that you all have, and you all know you have, you just don't know the name for. I'd like you to close your eyes, right? With your eyes closed, I'd like you to hold out your hand, either hand directly in front of you. Keeping your eyes closed, I'd like you to raise your hand so it's above your head. And I'd like you to bring your hand back down so it's directly in front of you. And stop when it's pretty much level with your eyes. Yep. Open your eyes. Who got it right? Everyone knows when to do this with their eyes. How? Did you use visual? Did anyone cheat with their eyes opened? No. Does anyone have sufficiently good hearing that your audio sense told you when your hand had whooshed down? No. Are you actually touching anything other than the air molecules? And if so, do they feel massively different here versus there? Okay, maybe those who held their hand really close to their nose, yes, but most of you were hands out. So what have we done? We've done visual, sight, hearing, touch, taste. Did any of you lick your hands to know when you got there? I'm not going to go with when everyone can actually smell their own hands. If you can, then I'm just going to leave that between you and your neighbours, and as long as you're happy. Now the point is we have a sense called proprioception. Proprioception is feedback from the muscles inside our bodies and for head movements inside our head to let you know that actually my arm's to my right, my arm's above, my arm's to my left, my arm's straight in front, my arm's down. It's an extra sense we have, but because Plato categorised us as having 5 senses, we all believe that. I digress on that for about 2 minutes, or I've just digressed on that for 2 minutes because I think it's important. Plato said we had 5 senses, so we all believe that. Plato is Greek and dead. Which of those two sounded like good qualifications for giving financial advice? But it's amazing, we remember what we grow up with, what we hear. We were taught, don't negotiate, just pay the asking price, don't make a fuss. That's what we remember. If we remember we have 5 senses, that's what we think. Proprioception doesn't matter. But the point is you do have lots of senses, use them as many of them possible to remember the number. Excellent. I'm going to move on to our second P. What was our second P?
Psychology.
Psychology, well done. And I'm going to talk about 2 of the great scientists of Western civilization. One of whom is Sir Isaac Newton. Can anyone remember what apple Sir Isaac Newton is famously associated with?
Gravity.
Sorry, what fruit? Did you hear that? It's what apple? What fruit is Sir Isaac Newton? An apple. Where did that apple allegedly fall in his head? Does anyone know this? King's College, Cambridge. Won't help in the gamification, but may in a future pub quiz. Remember that. Sir Isaac Newton defined the law of gravity and was the first person to actually, according to urban legend, write that down in a sensible way. However, Sir Isaac Newton was a scientist, and there's a statement called the Newtonian law of physics, which may be about to give some people a physics flashback. The gravitational attraction between 2 bodies is proportional to the mass of the first body times the mass of the second body divided by the square of the distance between them. Is anyone having an O-level flashback? So some of you may have GCSE flashbacks, but I'm sorry, one day we'll be back in the ascendant and O-levels will be with us again. So people my age will know. So But the point is, scientists. Scientists are interested in this dimension. True to false. Psychologists really aren't. And I tend to think about this is, well, let's use that second greatest scientist, Master Yoda. Does everyone recognise the name Master Yoda, yes? Does everyone know what film he comes from? Hopefully you'll remember the original films from like the 70s and 80s, i.e. the good ones, rather than the bizarre graphic animation travesties that were out more recently. But how many of you have actually seen the original Star Wars trilogy? Do you remember a scene where Master Yoda, using just the power force, lifts Luke Skywalker's X-Wing out the swamp on Dagobah? You remember what happened when we were children, remember? Is anyone in the room a Jedi Knight? I want you to see, you've done the proprioception thing with me, you've remembered the number, I want to see if any of you are masters of the Force. Because here I have a small object, it's property negotiation by Mark Harrison. I'd like you, using the power of the Force, to concentrate on this book, and I'm going to count down, and when I let go, I want you using the power of the Force alone to keep this book in midair, yeah? Can we do this? Yeah. Remember, Master Yoda could do this with an X-Wing. I'm talking about a book, yeah? Paperback at that. Okay, so I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1. The Force is weak in you lot. What? Why on earth am I talking about the Force? Because of Isaac Newton and gravity. When it comes to things like the laws of physics, it matters whether it's true or false. When it comes to the psychology of, well, many things in business, but specifically today, negotiation, what's more important is the second dimension, which is known by psychologists as empowering or disempowering. An empowering belief is a belief that if you act by, will give some useful results in your life. A disempowering belief is one that if you act by, it will give some not so good results in your life. So let's turn back to that first principle. They need you more than you need them. And I'm going to fill in just some simple characters. If you act empowering belief as if they need you more than you need them, and it's really true, you will probably end up with a profitable result. Yeah? If you act as if, oh, it's a seller's market, I'm just going to have to offer the asking price, you might end up with a property, but it won't be at a profitable or as profitable a price. So when the seller really does need you, how you act makes a tremendous difference. In today's market, we're interested in properties that are actually going to be cash flow positive and not just, oh, we can buy any old rubbish, it doesn't matter if it costs me 500 quid a month because property always goes up in value. No one believes that anymore, fortunately. And supposing it's not true, supposing they're in a really strong position, they're sitting on this house, with no real intention to move in, they're just sort of put it on with an estate agent to see, yeah? If this is true, doesn't matter how you act, you aren't going to get the deal. Always think carefully about what you can influence versus what's out of your control. Whether they actually need you is Isaac Newton territory. You can't control that. How you act about it is Master Yoda territory. You can control that. You can choose to adopt empowering beliefs about negotiations. And the key one is that they do indeed need you. Right. I said I'd come back to one other thing. I said I'd come back to why you should never pay the asking price. This is about happiness. Yeah? I'd like someone to, it doesn't matter, we're sort of 21st century, the vote's been taken, someone, either male or female, to come forward and act as if they were my wife just for the purpose of a little role play. Nothing dangerous. Come on, Peter, you can do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I just introduce Peter, the host of PIN Brighton, who's popped out, bound today to see. So, I want you to imagine that Peter and I are, well, you are from Brighton, what can I say?
Well,
sorry. PIN Brighton, we've got a house together, we're looking to sell it, we've had it with an estate agent, we put it on the estate agents on Saturday, and it's Monday evening, and we know the estate agent brought some people around to look at the house in the morning, another set in the afternoon, and the estate agent phones up, and it's, yeah, hello, oh, it's the estate agent. Yeah, okay, thanks, that's really, they've offered the asking price. How does that make Peter feel? Thank you. There is this bizarre idea that if you offer the asking price, your counterparty will break out the champagne and it's fantastic, let's go clubbing now. Sorry, thank you very much, Peter. Peter from Peterborough. There's a bizarre belief that there would be tremendous happiness when you offer the asking price too soon. Nothing could be further from the truth. You offer the asking price, you are setting yourselves up to try and get through the next 4 to 6 weeks while we deal with the legals with someone who thinks they have undervalued and should have asked for more, and someone who's fundamentally unhappy. So never say yes too soon. I'm going to come on to my third P. Can anyone remember what my third P was?
Right.
Ploys, thank you, which I am going to slightly split down now and say that there's some strategy and some tactics. And if you want to go back to the P's, the principles are the what, the psychology is the why, and the ploys are the how. And strategy and tactics are sort of big picture or really focused stuff here. I'm going to throw just a few strategies you can use in, and one of them is called frame the negotiation. One of them is called get them to spend time. Now, back in the principles, I talked about getting your counterparty, the person you're negotiating with or against, to spend time. But because they're not used to it, they want to get the deal in. Hopefully the psychology bit goes a little way too, if you think that through, explains why. It's uncomfortable. The reason you want them to spend time is you want them to realise that negotiation is uncomfortable. The reason you want them to realise that negotiation is uncomfortable is if they don't do this deal with me, they're going to have to go back to Old Kent Road, start again and go through it all again with someone else and have even more discomfort in their lives. Get them to spend time, get them to invest time. Invest, by the way, is a word used by people who are selling something to make you think you'll get a better return on it than simply the word sell. But the third strategy is never give away too much. Well, ever, but certainly not in one go. Frame the negotiation. The first of my strategies is a fancy, semi-academic way of saying, make a low offer. The purpose of your opening offer is not to get it accepted. If you make an opening offer and it's accepted, what do you think? Should have offered less. The purpose of the opening offer is really sneaky. It's to make them feel that they have done something wrong by being so rude as to ask so much for their property. And how could you do that? You're asking £240,000 for that property, I'm going to offer you 160. Make the vendor feel that somehow they've done something wrong. It's framing the negotiation is just about chipping away, challenging their belief about what price they're actually going to get. If they're asking for £240,000, it may be it's a sensible price that you'll end up paying £230. But believe me, you stand a far better chance of getting it for £230 if you start by offering 160 and then go back and forth over a week or so than if you go in and offering 229. Yeah? It is possible, of course, to offer so low that they'll tell you to, well, I think it translated as go away, certainly the second word was off. Yeah. However, if they need you, an initial low offer isn't enough to put off a prospective vendor, put off a potential counterparty, whatever the negotiation is. So frame that, make a low offer which challenges their expectations. Having challenged, what you want them to do, ideally, is come back with another price. And this is where we're going to do a little practical for everyone. This is called the flinch. In these days of the phone, it's sometimes called the gasp, but if you Google for negotiation flinch or negotiation gasp, you find more of this. This is another of those little ploys, a lot of those little tactics to make them feel they've done something wrong. And basically the core of this is when someone names a price for the first time, you need to give the impression that you're shocked. Now there is a little piece of coded language that people like electricians, plumbers, car mechanics use. Has anyone ever heard that noise? What do we think this noise actually means? Do we think it means, well, I've been a car mechanic for 40 years, man and boy, and I've never seen an engine as badly maintained as yours? Or do you think it means, I've learned that if I go, I'll get away with charging an awful lot more, and I go, yeah, no worries mate, have that for you by 4 o'clock. Yes? The noise, what's the noise? Thank you. Serves no purpose to do with actually true or false. It's just about making them feel that they've done something that they need to reconsider. So what I want you to do is get into the habit of saying this when you hear prices. Are we going to practice? Now, I realise some of you may find acting in the manner of a car mechanic difficult. I realise some of you may find it very, very easy. But some of you find this difficult, but the flinch, the gasp can be incredibly powerful. So I'm going to get you to practice, and I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to sell something terribly overpriced. If anyone buys this, I do actually have like 40 witnesses to a legally binding oral contract. But the purpose of this is, what's the noise you have to make when I name the price? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Darenth Valley Golf Club, home of the finest water in the UK. Let me tell you that UK water is something special. That's why all the French water companies want to buy the English water companies. And of the UK, the South East is highly regarded. Here in the Darenth Valley, we have some of the finest mains tap water in the world. And tonight, for your delectation only, we put in a small glass. Listen to that glass ring. You just hear the fine quality crystal. And I can offer you not only this. This glass has actually been used by Mark Harrison, and you have video evidence for this. I can sell you this half-empty glass of water for only £32. You run the risk there of paying £31, £31.50 too much for a glass of water.
10?
You run the risk of paying £10,000 to £20,000 too much for your next property. Why on earth would you bother to make the noise, apart from to humour me, for £31 saving, but not bother when there's £10,000 to £20,000 of your money at stake? What's the noise? Stupid but works. Stupid but works is the natural opposite of complex but doesn't work, or the Merrill Lynch solution, as we like to call it. Simple but works, worth remembering. So if someone names you a price, if I say you could buy this book tonight for 25 quid, not fast enough. Not fast enough. Remember the purpose. The purpose is to make me think I've done something wrong and the price I've just listed is outrageous. Yeah? This book tonight, only 26 quid. Better! If it feels like you've done 25 quid, what did Mark say? Hang on a minute. Oh, we need to make the noise. What's the noise? Not going to work. It needs to come over as realistic, stupid, and absolutely works. Once you've made the noise, unfortunately, you come to the stage of more tactics. There is more to negotiation than making the noise. What's the noise? Yeah. If you could make £20,000 saving off your next property deal just by making the noise, then, well, I would have been to the patent lawyers and see whether I could get a cut of that. But you do need to do more. And now we come to the getting them to spend time. I have a bunch of what I call my time tactics.